last 13 summers, the nation's best comics and rising stars have gathered on Nantucket. The Nantucket Comedy Festival is a highlight of the island's summer scene as it benefits the Standup and Learn Foundation for local youngsters and provides a series of hilarious evenings. And now, in these challenging times, in the spirit of the festival, we gather a group of comics to provide some laughs, some diversion, and a dose this evening of the best medicine.
Despite the accent, I am representing New York City. So I'm from Alabama, but I'm the captain of the New York team. 25 years in the city, so it used to sound worse than this, but I'm as filled with much rage and hate in every New Yorker, so I think I can really, hopefully, make this as mean and awful as possible.
And what are your feelings tonight? What are your strategy?
None. Get on, get off, get to the bar. That's it. I don't care who wins or loses. Flynn double talked me into saying this is not even really a competition. He goes, no, we're smacking down the audience because we're giving them 6 headliners on the same show. It's not because all of us are going, wait a minute, what about this whole? And he's like, no. And that's just his vaginified way of trying to back out of, because he knows we're all going to get on him if it's not what he says it is. So, but none of the comics are worried about it, really, I don't think. There's really nothing you can do with the hillbilly accent. I have a finance degree, and I moved to New York City because I wanted to work on Wall Street, and then I discovered with this accent, people were not willing to take financial advice from me. I could be Warren Buffett, Alan Greenspan, economically brilliant, but if I've got you on the phone going, I got some ideas for your portfolio. We need to diversify. Get a mayonnaise jar. Wash it out. And I hate to hammer Flynn here, but, it's easy, and he's stupid. So, Flynn's from Connecticut, by the way, where the dogs don't bark. They go, bow, Connecticut. Hi, everybody. Let's drive down to the city and look at ethnic groups. Come on, it'll be fun.
No, it just go to. All right, I gotta sign off. So if you can do click audio and click video, we want both of that. We're standing by. So hopefully you can join us. Bye.
Welcome to the best medicine, and a very different program this week as we will begin with some reflections on our lost friend, Vic Henley. Wally Collins, Wally, good to see you with us today. Kevin Flynn, Executive Director of the Nantucket Comedy Festival. Kenny Rogers. Kenny, great to see you.
Good to see you, Bob.
We're going to tell some stories. We've shed enough tears. We just saw Vic, but I wish we could have aired everything we screened to put that open, man.
Making fun of me, which is one of the best things to do.
Standards, but God darn it. But he loved to roast you.
He did, and I think he loves my daughter, which as a father, it just warms your heart when someone gets your kid and loves them and understands them. And I remember being out with a bunch of comics. I took them all to the beach on Nantucket. All these guys have been out before with me. We're a different group. And I tell you what, all day, every day, comics bust each other's chops like nobody's business. Yeah. And it's so my daughter's with me and some of my friends, including Vic, and we're going at it all day. And I drop them all off, and they get out of the car. They close the door. My daughter looks at me and goes, "Daddy, do you guys even like each other?" I said, "We love each other, honey." I said, "This is what we do. We make fun of each other." She's like, "You're so mean to each other." I'm like, but here's my thing with Vic. He was one of my best friends, and we're laughing because we were laughing just before we got on air. Believe it or not, I've shed enough tears. Everybody here has about this man, our good friend. It's time to celebrate the joy that he brought to this world. Really, he worked really hard. Wally knows him from New York. Kenny knows him from even before the Nantucket Comedy Festival. Kenny, when did you meet him? How many years ago?
You know what? We discussed that the first year I came to the Comedy Fest because there was a gap in our friendship. But as soon as I saw him, it's like I saw him 5 minutes ago. It's like we just fell into their old rhythms, man. That's the way it is with comedy. He knew when we saw each other. I think it was something maybe in early 90s, maybe. And there might be something else in there between, but we were both heavy hitters, so things are hard to remember.
We both hit the sauce, but I think what was interesting was, he opens up for Ron White all the time, and Ron White found out that Kenny Rogerson was going to be at the comedy festival, and Ron White goes, "Oh, I hope Kenny remembers who I am," which I thought was really interesting. So then he said he walks up and goes, "I'm nervous as SHIT," and I go, "Why are you nervous?" He goes, "Well," this is Ron White talking. He goes, "Well, I got to perform in front of Stephen Wright and Kenny Rogerson, two legends." I'm like, and Kenny's asking me, "Do you think Ron remembers me?" I'm like, "Yeah, he does, Kenny."
Well, for different reasons. As I said, we hit the sauce pretty hard back then. There's a lot of dead brain cells, but Vic and I, we just kind of fell in, man. He's just so funny and funny on stage and off stage. He was just a blast to hang around. Just a sweet guy.
His stories were fantastic.
Wally, to be in the New York comedy scene, I mean, Vic haunted those clubs. When Kevin needed somebody for the festival and wanted to put together a team for the SmackDown from New York, I mean, Vic knew who was ready, who was not quite ready, and I mean, everybody knows.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Well, see, Vic was one of the best MCs too, and I think he loved it. He told me that he'd rather MC the show because, first of all, being an MC, I think it's the most underrated job. On the bill, that you have to keep the show going, get the audience. First, you got to get the audience fired up, and then you got to keep. So if someone tanks, someone doesn't do well, it's your job to get the audience back up. Or if someone does well and someone's a different energy, Vic knew how to kind of like level that out. You know what I mean? And what I loved about him too is that he had that southern drawl, and it had added like a certain charm to him. You know what I mean? He wasn't in a hurry. He didn't rush. And his jokes, maybe his bits, whatever, and clever and quick with it, and it just added to his charm because there weren't many like southern drawl comics. There aren't any, in New York City. And then hung out, the Comedy Cellar.
Sorry, go ahead, Wally.
Yeah, I'm saying he was like he was a heavy hitter. He just was that strong, that quick-minded, and just wasn't intimidated by anything.
He's a great
storyteller. If anything, intimidating.
Yeah, so you talked about the MC work.
Storytellers.
Yeah.
Like Ron Schock or Fred Greenlee or any of those, all those Southern guys, they tell great stories. They just take their time.
Yep.
I knew him for the last 10 years through the festival. And you talk about the MC. I mean, I'm a sports guy, right? So, I got to go up there. I got to have 2 or 3 jokes ready, maybe. And wait a minute, America.
They're watching Don Gavin learn how to do a Zoom.
I think my computer's haunted. There's an old man.
Look at him.
Don, can you hear us?
Don, can you hear us?
No.
Well,
we sound yet.
Look for the sound button.
You got to turn your microphone on.
Well, I don't know.
You were doing this.
There he is.
5 seconds to air. This is what was happening, folks. I promise you. And by the way, I will tell you this.
Really would have helped.
God's honest truth. Vic Henley couldn't get his microphone to work for the last 2 weeks, which is why he was not on this show.
Am I on microphone now?
We got you.
A little louder, but you're good. Hi, Don.
Yeah, good. Yeah, hi. Yeah. This is fun. This is really fun. Like the new technology making it so much easier for a man like myself.
Well, Gav, we're telling our favorite Vic stories for starters tonight, and they've got us all, chuckling and laughing and reminiscing.
Yeah, I didn't hear the front part of what you said there.
We're talking about Vic.
Oh,
remembering Vic Henley tonight, and for the top of the show, and just wanted to get your thought and remembrances, and when you just think of this guy, what comes to mind?
I thought of three words that when he entered a room, always he changed the room. He took the room from being maybe kind of dormant to this, that, but not just once. This happened over and over and over. And also a guy that moved from Alabama when he was 6 months old that still had an accent at 56. There was something wrong with it.
You guys, Wally, you had talked about the emceeing, and I knew Vic through the festival. And, you know, again, as a sports guy, I got to get 2 or 3 jokes and then get the hell out of the way, get you guys on, get you guys off. But every year we would sit down. This was this past year. Karen Morgan, I think I bought lunch.
I was never there when you did that.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I promise you, July, that'll happen. But there we were, just working through the routine, you know, bit by bit and organizing. And the other picture, one I put up on Twitter, was from the World Cup Final 2018, again on Nantucket, night after the festival. And this is 11 in the morning.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Whose glass is empty and 2 gentlemen and drinks?
Yeah, right.
His is bone dry. His is bone dry. I think he sucked the ice cubes before we got that. And you know what? He loved that picture, Bob, because, you know, I thought this Southern kid, he was a big Auburn fan. His brother was a tailback for Auburn, one of the leading rushers. He went to all the games as a kid. I thought when I started talking soccer, he was going to be like, oh, soccer, what? He knew everything about soccer.
Yeah.
It was hysterical.
Wow.
He used to tell a story on stage about being in England, watching England play Germany, and they were doing the wave. And the English fans started to say, you know, if you won the war, stand up. If you won the war, stand up. And all the English would get up and do the wave, and all of a sudden they would get to the German section. With their arms up. And he would tell that story. It was just priceless. He loved soccer. So he watched every World Cup that you hosted. And then the fact that we were on Nantucket, his favorite place, home away from home, watching a World Cup soccer game with the guy who was the host of all the World Cup games for ESPN for years and years was quite special to him. And I think Ron White actually took that picture.
Yeah. I mean, Vic called me in Brazil back in 2014. I guess he was shocked I picked it up, but I used to talk to somebody back in the States at that point, and hell, I'd pick it up. But this was a guy, as you talked about, Gav, that would immediately, you change the electricity wherever he was. One other quick story. The best thing, Kevin, you ever asked me to do at the festival really was the Q&A I did with Dick Cavett about 5 years ago. And I just loved it as a kid, you know, who watched Cavett in the 60s and 70s. So I did my homework and I asked some fairly good questions, I think, and got some great responses from him. So Cavett and I are walking down the stairwell at the Dreamland. We had just done it. There's only one other person there. And Vic's, you know, would talk about this for years. Cavett was like, hey, it was pretty good. And I said, well, thank you, Dick. And Vic he was like a kid in a candy shop that he could eavesdrop because he was a Cavett guy too. And he just loved to be part of that whole fraternity.
Look, Vic went through life like that. And the one thing that the guys, everybody on this panel knows is that it did not matter who you were, whether you were, you know, Vic and I were both working class kids, and you could drop him absolutely anywhere and he would get along. He was the same guy, whether he was with a carpenter, working men, you know, the billionaires. He just was Vic Henley. And there was something so disarming about that honest and true.
And he was so true, like his brother Terry, who was all SEC for Auburn, he idolized him. And the brother was probably, 7 or 8 years older?
12 years.
And yet the brother idolized him. So that was an unbelievable relationship that continued. There was never a year we did the festival without a story about his older brother. It was just great.
His older brother told me a story about Vic that I did not know. I talked to him after this terrible tragedy. It was a pulmonary embolism that took his life. So they're still trying to figure out, you know, how that happened, but it could happen to anyone, any sort of injury happened. But Terry, his older brother, told me that in 2nd grade, Vic Henley, which doesn't surprise me, had an 8th grade reading level. And they tried to move him into the 6th grade from 2nd. Wow. And his mother said no. Because if you know, all of us know him, the guy, facts, figures, music knowledge, you know, unbelievable. He'd know things about, like, how do you even know that? So they tried to move him, and his mother said no. And the teacher said, are you sure? Because this kid is so bored in class that he's socializing too much. Thank God his mother did not move him, because it was a gift to all of us. Because I say to everybody, I started the Nantucket Comedy Festival, but Vic Henley owned it. He owned it. He was the social chairman. Everybody had a good time because of that man.
Right.
He was a good buddy of George Herbert Walker Bush. You know, he did a corporate event with Bush 41 once. But they kept running into each other, and they were friends.
Well, they stayed in touch, Bob. He actually had email. How do you have George H.W. Bush's email? I thought he would be like Gavin. You wouldn't know how to use an email, but there he was.
Hey, I'm on here now. Relax. You could have called me 10 minutes earlier. I could have gone on at the beginning. All right.
Well, we were going to send you smoke signals, Don. I think.
Wow, it's windy.
Well, well, big buddy, we love you. We miss you. How's quarantine going, Wally?
How's quarantine going?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm becoming a pretty good vegan chef. I'm vegan and I'm learning a lot of recipes. And I don't know, man, when I come out of this, I might have my own show. So this is a good thing.
I got to say this about Wally. Wally, was this good-looking guy. Not anymore, obviously, but he was this good-looking guy. He doesn't swear on stage, and he's vegan. Sure. It's unbelievable. I remember, and I always love stories about Wally's mother. She had an amazing mother.
Oh yeah.
And I met her. I met her. I was blessed to meet her one time, so that was pretty amazing. But to get back to Vic quickly, Wally, did anybody work harder in the city than that man?
No, and I'm telling you, New York City, people know, man. New York City can be tough, and he.
Geez, I said he was ugly, and his picture left.
Hold on. Yes, I just lost the picture.
There we go.
There you are.
There we go. All right. But no, he definitely was, like I said, he was that MC, and he was like no other. There's William Stevenson. If you guys know William Stevenson, he passed away the year before, and those two were the masters at hosting shows. And he was he's just a respected comedian. You know what I mean? It's just that thing, like when you're in New York and you get that kind of respect, you're very successful.
Do you know what, Wally? I went to a party at Vic's house. He had these things called meat parties, which everybody would bring meat. And William,
okay, I thought it was a different kind of party. Go ahead.
No, different kind of party. It was a meat party, and I go, yeah, I'll go. And my daughter came with me. And she was a little girl. She's only 5 years old. And we go to the comedians are having a meat party at Henley's house. And William is doing it with Vic. And I get there.
Right.
There's about 85 pounds of meat. Not a vegetable within 20 miles. There was just nothing else. It was just meat. And even my daughter's like, is this all the meat? Just meat? But what I love about the comedy festival, and Henley, he jumped in. He knew that I was working with. I started this in sort of on Nantucket, but then I worked with some kids in New York City who were special needs, and Vic helped me out with them, and he was all in from that point on. So what he loved about it was that he got to work with his idols. I'm going to say it in front of these guys, Wally, because Kenny Rogerson and Don Gavin were just gods when we started in this business.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I'm not disputing that at all. No.
You didn't know anything.
I didn't know you. We know better now. Yes.
That's right.
Look where it's taken us. There you go.
But the fact that we all got to hang out together and one of the biggest selling points for the festival, and I think you know this, Bob, as well, was no agents, no managers. There's no business happening there. The only business that's happening is some young guy gets to sit next to Don Gavin or Kenny Rogers and just get all the information and all the stories of their lifetime of experience. And Henley loved that. I got to tell Wally, I don't even think you know the story. These two guys know the story. A manager came into the office, came into the green room this year. And boy,
not for long.
That did not go
long. Henley went, all of us kind of looked at each other. We're like, hey, there's an agent and a manager in here. And all of a sudden, Henley's like, one of these things does not belong in my father. One of these things. The guy's like, oh.
And that's when Barry Katz walked out, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
The skunk at the garden party.
Yeah. An unlegendary manager.
Ooh, infamous manager.
But
next.
Well, I was like we said, we'll have at the back end of the show, we'll have another couple of moments to appreciate Vic. But we push on here on the Best Medicine. But again, as I mentioned, for the last 2 weeks, he couldn't get his damn computer to work because we were going to have him here. And as late as 2 days before he passed, we're texting back and forth. He's trying to get the mic working. And Don, you could identify because you were just going through it. And, wow. For 2 weeks, he couldn't get that damn mic to work. Otherwise, we would have had him here. So he's here with us tonight. He's here in spirit, for sure. Yeah. God bless him.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, definitely.
So
Definitely.
we're all quarantined. And as I said a couple of weeks ago in Jersey, we just called it house arrest when I was growing up. But
You're being in Jersey's house arrest for
Why
God's
do
sake.
I have to wear an ankle thing? That's what I want to know.
yeah, the marshals will be by Kenny to change it.
Why do I have an ankle thing on? I don't understand. Get too far from my house, it goes up. I don't understand. Does everyone have those?
Yeah,
I do.
No, I don't. No.
Now, Bob, what is the background? Is that a picture? I hope.
That's a picture I took. That's the Sankaty Head Lighthouse. I'm trying to localize this. So everything's local, Don. Politics and comedy.
Glad you're familiar with the island, Don.
It's by the golf course.
I understand exactly where it is, but it looks so vivid that you're actually there. So
Yeah, it's a picture.
If you get any closer to the camera, we'll see inside your nasal patch.
Well, you know,
I'm sitting down low, so you don't have to.
I can change this to entertain you further. Now we're in Wisconsin.
Oh, look at that. The lovely little.
Is it magic?
It's absolutely magic, but I'm not here to dazzle you guys. I'm here to get you guys to
We're easily
dazzle us.
dazzled, Bob. We're easily dazzled.
Yeah, true, apparently. Well,
Bob, I'm trying to tell you, I'm in Florida, and they're trying to treat the elderly people better. You know, they're opening an hour earlier. I go, stupid idea. There's nobody under 85 here. So what they should do is let the people that are under 55 come in an hour earlier, and then boom, because you go an hour early, everybody's there at that time. These people don't go to bed. They think they're going to be dead the next day. They get there around 4, and there's nothing. I don't know. I never knew toilet paper was so valuable. I'm selling it on the corner now down here, pretty much. And I'm also selling jokes now too, because there's no more.
Apparently, you're right with some Corona jokes too. Thanks for testing them out on us, Don.
Yeah, who needs that?
Yeah, I don't know. I have a 64-ounce thing of ketchup because all the other ketchups were gone. Apparently, that's another thing you got to have when you're in the quarantine, ketchup. This thing's the size of a paint can.
You're good, though. You're good for a while.
I'm good for the next 30 years in ketchup. I go, why is all the ketchup gone? Ketchup and Cheerios. I saw a woman who had nothing but Cheerios in her cart. I go, what do you
drink enough ketchup, you need the toilet paper.
Yeah.
You can give them out for trick or treat. You know what I mean? Little packets of
This is why I hit the bag every single day because it saves a lot of lives at that supermarket.
Do you work out as well, Ken?
Yeah, but I'm just hitting the bag, gets all my aggression out so I don't kill anybody at the supermarket.
Oh, that bag. All right.
There you go. Very smart. Very
That
smart.
was a penis joke, but thank you.
Oh.
And the 55 plus, the social distancing. Apparently, I've been doing that with women for 15 years. Always 6 feet between me and them.
Here he comes.
Well, I was always told to stay distant away from women.
But that was
100 yards or more.
That was court ordered. That was
That was
For some reason.
I swear, Your Honor.
Your Honor. She was wearing shoes. Of course you wanted to talk to me.
Exactly. Gab, you're down in Florida, and I think Gab is loving it because he's the youngest guy down there. It's wonderful.
Yeah, they call me the kid.
And I love the tongue action. He's like the Michael Jordan of comedy.
I was doing it well before him. All right.
That's true.
how do you occupy yourself?
Well, before
during these
Professor
days when you're
Naismith.
self-isolating.
Well, I like to say I'm writing all kinds of material. I'm just writing out shopping lists because they only go once a week, so I got to make sure everything's in order. I've been watching Law and Order. Thank God they have 485 episodes because I've watched 460 so far. I'm doing pretty good with that. And where are you? Where's your collage? How come they're not showing you one for 2 days?
I think that's for you, Bob.
I'm sorry, where's my what?
A 2-day highlights of your career.
Highlights of my career. I'm done. I'm not a working stiff anymore. I'm a man of leisure.
He's hosting the best medicine. If that's not a sign that he's over.
We're all men of
It pays just as well as the festival.
Exactly.
There you go.
So there was no cocktail party tonight.
Actually, I won't even say the guy's name, but it was a specialty act. And the first or second year I did the comedy festival, all the comics, and I think everybody on the island knows this, the comics work for free. They come and donate their time for the program, for the Standup and Learn program. And I have a guy on that's not a comic, but he's a funny journalist. And he flew himself out. He was a showrunner for a long time. So I just don't want to say his name, but he sees a packed beach and he comes up to me and goes, I can't believe we're not getting paid. I go, well, it's a kids charity. We don't raise that much. It costs a lot to get everybody out here and put them up at the height of the season, even though we have great sponsors and everything else like that. And he goes, you want to look me right in the eyes and tell me that Lewis Black and Jim Gaffigan, who are here right now, are not getting paid? And I go, I'm looking you right in the eyes, man. I'm not getting paid. He goes, oh, I stand corrected. I apologize. I'm like, so people come. I actually think that the working comedians need the money more than somebody like Louis Black or Jim Gaffigan. Yet they come out and they have a good time because we get to hang out with each other, and it's all for a good cause. And they, I think Kenny, did you do the kids workshop this year?
Yes, last year. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Kenny, Don, Karen Morgan, who was the producer last year, and Vic Henley. Yeah. And they watch the kids perform, and these guys get to give the kids feedback on their stand-up comedy routines, which is
that's cool.
Pretty amazing. Cool. And the people in the audience always say to me they love the kids when they perform, and they love hearing what the professional comics have to say, the insightful things they have to say about the kids' performances. So it's nice.
And they get to use their material on the cruise ships, which is good.
Right. Gav, what are you doing? No cruise ships. What are you doing?
I'm doing a lot of deep knee bends, and no, I've been actually. I can say I'm not doing any writing. I've just been watching TV, unfortunately, and just I don't know, kicking back.
Did you ever see
all the things you're supposed to do? I'll give you one. I decided that in my kitchen, so I just moved down here, the fluorescent light bulbs were going on and off. So I decided I was able to fix it. I went and bought fluorescent light bulbs, went up, and I'm 72 years old. I'm up on a ladder trying to change these things. And they used to flicker. Now they don't flicker. They don't go on at all. Nothing. I get absolutely nothing. No power. So I have a real guy coming in tomorrow. That's what I've been doing. So.
The real guy. Wow. He's only 80.
So has anyone lost their appetite for going back to work through the cruise ships, assuming at some point they resume cruising, given all the...
They're going to be they're going to be rowboats because no one wants a whole group of people on the same thing. Yeah, I think that I'm going to be, I know you live somewhere in Florida, and I've tracked it down pretty well, and you may have someone in your cellar, if you have a cellar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave up cruise ships about 2-3 years ago.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, they're about 80% of my income, and I really don't care if I ever get back on another one, quite frankly.
Right.
It's always a crime.
Yeah. You're still cruising, Kenny, just not on a ship.
Yeah. I'm gonna be the cheapest headliner in the country. I'm gonna work for $500 cash everywhere. Everywhere's a comedy club. I'll come in on a motorcycle, $500 cash.
That's true, though, right? There's an upside thing, because when I started, though, how many years ago now? 30 years ago. I'm getting paid in some situations the same amount. And it used to be cash. You used to get paid in cash, and you do a bunch of shows. You leave Boston with a wad of cash, and I used to tell people, I go, oh my God, it's unbelievable, and the benefits are incredible. They go, what kind of benefits, Kevin? I go, free booze and really cute waitresses. Those were the benefits.
I don't remember ever leaving anywhere with cash. I don't think I left anywhere with cash in those days.
Yeah, now it's like a dental plan and a 401k I could use. It's
a lot of money on sundries.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember 23 years, I believe, that you could not date a woman unless she was a waitress. I honestly believe that. I thought it was.
That's where I went wrong. That's where I went wrong. I think.
So, Wally, why did you give up the cruise biz?
It was amazing. Kev, I think you know what I'm talking about, is that you have to do a clean show, you have to do a dirty show, and then you have
welcome aboard or farewell, right?
Say it again?
A welcome aboard or farewell.
Sometimes.
You have to do the welcome show, then you have to do the 8 o'clock, then you have to do the 10 o'clock show, and then sometimes you would have to do kind of like mingle with the audience like the next day. And that's another thing too. If you had a set that sucks, you're stuck. The ship when if you bomb, they're gonna be like, oh, that's for 2 weeks, man. A week. I'm sorry, they cruise for a week. For a week, it's terrible. But of course, if you have a good set, then everybody wants to sit with you, which could be another awkward and something you don't want. They want to talk to you like, so who's your favorite comedian? How'd you get started? Don't put this in your sketch. Don't put this in your sketch. That kind of stuff. Hey, I got a joke for you. 2 black guys walking to a bar. I said, here we go.
Hey, hold up.
By the way, Wally, they rarely say 2 black guys when they tell you those jokes.
I just cleaned it up for the show here.
But even that joke has changed. Like 3 guys walking a bar. That's not even true anymore. 2 guys walk in, one has to wait outside until some other person comes out. Then they go in.
Hey, Kenny, how about this? Another coronavirus joke. There, right there.
Hello.
Hello.
He's been working.
He's been working. Somebody's been writing. He's lying to us. He's been writing.
We were writing, Kevin. We were writing this week, you, me, and Jack.
Absolutely. I got to rewrite my one-man, Fear Heights. So that was awesome to work with you guys. Because I said, like, Jack Gallagher was one of the legends, too, when I started. So it was
wow.
You know what I used to call him, which isn't a compliment anymore? I used to call him the white Bill Cosby. That's no longer a compliment, sadly. But in those days...
No, don't.
In those days, it was a compliment.
Fact that, yeah, he's totally clean.
Yeah.
Wally, you said to your mom, you promised your mom, or was it your father that you would work clean?
Both of them.
Yeah,
both of them. My mother was very religious. My father, Marine DI, and they said just represent us and just be clean. And my father said, imagine us in in the audience at every show.
You can imagine religion on one side and the military on the other, dude. You had it, brother.
I did.
How'd you do the late show on those cruises then?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I did it one time, and I didn't curse. Everyone had a good time. Everyone laughed. And the cruise director, he goes, "Well, you didn't curse." I said, "But they're laughing." He goes, "But you didn't curse." I was like, "What do you want? You want the cursing? Or you want the laughter?" There's the laughter. And we got into this argument, and I was like, "You know what? I think I'm done with cruise."
I actually did a late night cruise in the Mediterranean one night. I had to do a late show on a cruise in the Mediterranean, and I'm up there, and it's packed. It's up in the crystal room, the big see the whole ocean. It's packed, and I'm up on stage, and I'm doing really well, but there's about 30 people in the front. Nothing, just no, and they're all Asian. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying here that, but I'm getting nothing out of them.
For this story, go ahead.
I look at them all. I know, but try not to get in trouble. I look at them all
like a shovel.
I go, and this is an exact impression, by the way. I go, do you guys speak English? They just look at me, and all of a sudden, from the back of the room, some guy goes, "They not speak English." I go, "Thank you for bringing them to the show, sir." The guide and sitting them right up front. I appreciate it. 30 people.
Hey, Wally.
Imagine going to a show with a Chinese comedian, and you're like, as an American, like, "Yeah, I'm going to sit up front to see how this goes." Give me a break.
Wally, did you ever have to do any brunch shows?
Any what shows?
Brunch shows.
Brunch.
Yeah,
brunch shows.
Yeah, we had to do brunch shows. We had to do 9, 10:30, and 11 o'clock in the morning.
Well, yeah. Well, I had to do nooners for colleges when I was doing the whole.
This is on a cruise ship, and nobody. At midnight.
Oh no, I didn't.
I'm back.
No, I didn't.
And I'm there at 9 in the morning. Hello.
I didn't do any of the brunch shows. I think I got out of it just before they started doing those brunch shows.
Yeah.
But I had to do. I remember when I was doing colleges, and I had to do those nooners.
Oh yeah.
And that was like, especially at a community college, they stick you right in the middle of a cafeteria, and they give you a microphone, and they go, "Okay, showtime." Yeah. And you had to, basically stop these children from trying to get an education and work on their careers, trying to better themselves in life, just to, to hear waka waka, those, and they're looking at you like, what are you doing? And I'm like, you're right. What am I?
Oh, but you know what, Wally? We've all learned, and everybody here on this panel, except Bob, who had a steady job, we're driving away from that gig, and we're like, check cashes. Check.
Let me say, that was the motivator. I'm like, I'm getting paid for this.
You were just so happy when they were done. You didn't enjoy them. You said, that's how cruise ships were for me. I did a show one time in upstate New York at a college. I was kind of by the stairwell. And there's about, 75 kids. Right before I go up, this woman goes, "Ken, this is Mary. She'll be your interpreter." I go, "Interpreter?" She goes, "Yeah, about 75% of our students are deaf." I go, "That would have been nice to know before." Not that I could have changed anything, but that would have been nice to know before I got here. Not too before I go on stage.
If you would have been like Don Gavin, you'd be writing some jokes, some deaf jokes.
Yeah, one a week I'm doing. One a week. We all have horror stories of things. I did one many years ago doing it. It's supposed to be an outdoor concert, going to be nice, and the stage is just still being set up. The guy comes up to me and says, "Well, look at why don't you go and do your act anyway? I said, well, the stage's not set up. He goes, well, here's a megaphone. Go around where the people are sitting. Where the people are sitting, it's like the 6 people under that tree, and it's 5 over there. I just do like 1 or 2 jokes and then go over to the other tree and do it there. And I said, perfect. I said, let me get my puppets. And I took the megaphone, I went to my car, and I stole the megaphone, and I never went back.
As long as you got the check.
I did get the check. I did have the check. That was in my pocket before I left. I cashed it. I think I cashed it through a drive-through without slowing down. That's how.
Hey, Gab, so you're going through all the Law and Orders. I was on Law and Order. I played Officer Control Warden Harrison. I've never seen it. I never watched it. So you got to check it out. Let me know if you've seen it.
What was the?
It was called. The episode was called "Who Let the Dogs Out."
I know that episode.
Were you the 4th guy from the left or the 3rd guy from the left? Which one were you?
I actually have a speaking role. I'm walking around. I'll tell you the story quickly.
Thank you, Wally. Thank you. You appreciate that. You've been there. Okay,
somebody's
good.
writing, Ken. Somebody's writing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You're sitting here. They put me in this uniform. They take my measurements and everything, and so they put me in a uniform, a dog officer control warden uniform. Tightest shirt ever. Tight pants that plume out. You know, like the motorcycle kind of pants, right. And then with leather boots and a white t-shirt. And it was so tight. And I said to the wardrobe person, I go, this is just too tight. She goes, that's exactly what the uniform would be. If you were a police officer in this division, that's exactly what you look like. And I'm like, it's pulling my chest up and I'm walking around like one of the village people, and I'm like, and I'm like, wow, okay, so I have it's Jerry Orbach and the other guy, we're talking, they have a long scene and I'm supposed to get in the middle of them and go, hey guys, we found another victim. It's up at 72nd Street by the Transverse. Harrison, you come with me. I'll go. We do the little scene. So
I'll say you still remember the line.
Oh, a little bit of the lines. So they're talking, and I walk into the scene, and I'm like, and it's nerve-wracking because they're the stars of the show, and I got to come in and interrupt them after they're already on for a minute or so, and I bend over. I go, hey guys, and as I bend over, my pants split wide open. My pants rip, my boxer shorts rip with it. My whole ass comes out. And I was in Central Park, so it was a good afternoon for me. No, so the whole thing, it splits open, and Jerry Orbach goes, oh, my. The wardrobe person goes, oh, I guess it was too tight. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. And you know who was standing behind me was Judy Gold, Wally.
Really?
Yeah, Judy, and I was with Judy Gold in the wardrobe, and Judy Gold's been out to the comedy festival, and she's like 6'3", and so the woman goes, "We have clothes for everyone," and she goes, "I'm a 6'3" lesbian, and I'm really packing some pounds." The woman goes, "Bring your own clothes."
Bring your own clothes, right?
So what else are we streaming, guys? Ken, what are you binging?
What do I binge? Oh, I binged. I was traveling a little bit, so I binged all of 30 Rock. I mean, all of them. And what else? I call it that Tiger show, that Tiger.
Yeah.
That.
Oh man, please, no more. Please.
I did watch that. I watched
Tiger King.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
No, I didn't watch that. I thought you meant the thing.
Oh, I just binged Ozark.
Oh, I love Ozark. I'm in the middle of that.
Yeah.
And here's how bad I am. I just lost $60 this afternoon on the 1986 Masters. It was repeated. And I'm figuring there's no way that he can win it again. And yeah.
You can see it
writing material.
That's how sad it is. I'm watching old football games because I can't remember who won.
Yeah.
I watched the Packers and somebody else did the Packers. I go, oh, who won this game in 2004?
Bart Starr actually crossed the goal line. Yeah, I'm loving Ozark. I'm digging that show.
Yeah, it's good.
Really? Okay.
You know what? I'm going old school. I'm watching Sanford and Son. I'm watching All in the Family. I'm watching like the older, like the 70s stuff, and some of that stuff still stands up, man.
Yep.
Oh man.
Well, they tried to do a remake of All in the Family. I think a live version with Woody Harrelson and some.
Yeah, they did it.
Oh yes, yeah.
They're going to do it again.
It was like an homage. It was like an homage to it,
Right.
and
They didn't modernize it?
It didn't play.
No, they're just trying. Yeah, because they had Jamie Foxx playing what do you think? Sherman Hemsley, and it was just it was like I said, there's an homage to it, like thank you for a great show, but there's no way you can
Don, what homage is like sort of a tribute. That's what that means.
Wait, are you talking to the English teacher now?
It's a French word.
You're talking to me?
Hommage. That's right.
Oui, la bibliothèque. That's all I know.
Exactly.
La plume de ma tante.
And I want to see that. I want to see the one where Al Pacino is the Nazi hunter. I want to see that one next on Amazon.
Yeah.
Mixed reviews.
Yeah.
Most people like the other people and not the Nazis.
They what?
They like the other people and not the Nazis. It wasn't really that mixed reviews.
Did you guys see Jojo Rabbit? Did you see that movie?
Tremendous.
No,
I loved it.
Yet.
Tremendous movie.
Wow, you didn't see that? I'm getting ready to watch it.
Now the Nazi thing, I'm kind of like,
But no, the reason I wasn't going to watch it because I mean, like Hogan's Heroes, you're kind of like, how was that pitch? How did that pitch go over? And how did they make that show? But I watched Mel Brooks get up on stage and talk about Jojo Rabbit, and he said, "This is a powerful, really great movie. We mock and make fun of stupid people, stupid things, and terrible tragedies." And I said, so I watched it, and oh my, it was so funny. It was just so funny. I loved it. I
have to look into that because I'm always.
Oh, you'd love it. You'd love it. It's so well directed.
Well, I don't sleep, so I'm running out of stuff.
It's sort of an homage.
How long has Simpsons been on? 40 years? I've seen every one of them twice.
Wow.
Nothing surprises me. Sad.
I'm more of a family
on
guy.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'm a sad person.
I'm the family guy. I like family.
Are you guys into the test pattern? Do you watch that at all?
Yeah.
They don't have that anymore, Don.
They don't have that anymore, Don.
Oh,
how about the flag at the end of the day? You like that, Don?
What?
You have an old
Star Spangled
Make
Banner.
the noise when the TV goes off, like around midnight.
Yeah,
But I can hear.
In 1972, Don.
Well, I'm living in Florida. You got to remember they call me the kid. Okay.
not anymore. Not after that comment.
Telling you the truth. That's all.
Don't you have to go to bed to get up and shop?
No. I'm like these other guys. I want to hang around as much as I can, so I don't go to bed. I have extra hours now.
Hey, I love Gav comes out every year. All these guys are always invited every year, and I'll say to Gav will be like, and by the way, I do a Gavin impression.
No, this is the word.
Gavin impression.
Don Gavin, I don't sound at all like that, Flynn. Not at all. So I'll say, hey, Gav. He goes, hey, what day's the festival starting? Yeah, what day's the festival starting? And I'll say, it's Thursday. We're going to start it off with Women's Night. All right, I'll be out Sunday.
And what's your problem?
No problem. The beach side and the white elephant.
Yeah, I get there. I'm prepared. I suppose you calling me 4 minutes ahead of time to tell me how to set this thing up. That's all.
I hope we were rolling on that. I do hope we recorded that because, Kevin, you had the look of a guy trying to defuse a bomb and there weren't a lot of seconds.
Connect the blue wire. No, the blue wire.
We knew he was talking to you.
Yeah. We knew we couldn't stop laughing.
All right, here's something. Here's a little homage to Don. I say to him, I go, click on the link. What's a link? I go, what's a link?
Now we're in trouble.
The blue line with the lots of what do the letters say?
No, Kevin, you said the blue letters. The blue letters. Yes. Put the arrow over the blue letters. And then you did one of these.
Click.
Like, this is gonna be a while.
What's click? What's click?
Are you laughing at my expense? Is that it?
No.
He's better to collaborate by steam.
Exactly. The smoke signals again. It's windy.
Windy.
Hey, Wally.
Yeah.
How much pressure was it for you to go on Don Gavin's show, and you had to perform? Because I've talked about this a lot. The headliners hosted.
Oh yeah.
In Boston, and that's why guys really had to you had to have an act put together.
At Nick's, right?
Yeah, and like in Nick's Comedy Stop, and Don would have his show, and all the legends would be standing around in the back, and you'd get a chance once every 2 months, and you'd be like, yeah, Don Gavin's show, and Kenny's standing there, and Sweeney shows up, and Meanie's there, and you're like, all the pressure. And you had to come out swinging and throwing punches. Yeah. Because if you didn't, Don would come back up on stage, touch you on the arm and go, Okay, kid. We'll see you in a couple months. We'll see you in a couple months. And it was like
but you know what? I didn't have many like black role models. I think I was the only black guy, and the only black role model was a guy named Jimmy. I think it was Jimmy Smith or
Jimmy Smith.
You know what I'm talking about? Remember that guy?
Yeah, we just lost him.
Jimmy Smith.
Oh, really?
Jimmy Smith.
He passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but recently, like I think about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, his closer was putting on a straw hat and using the microphone stand as a spear, and then he would look for white women. And
he was your role model? Is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly. That was my role model right there. And I said, you know what? I want to be like that. So.
Should have adopted me instead.
Exactly. Or Jack Gallagher, at least. The White Cosby.
Yeah, the White Cosby. Right.
My God.
So yeah, he was the only other black dude that I was like, all right, someone I can relate. Oh, I gotta go.
Yeah, I had no one because I'm Irish Catholic. I had no one to relate to in Boston.
Nope. I can understand. I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain.
Everybody, Gavin, Dunn, Rogers, Sweeney, Clark. It was fun.
I followed a lot of people in my career. And there's only 3 guys I followed no one scares me to follow except for Don Gavin, Steve Sweeney, and Lenny Clark. When they're on, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. When Gavin's not on, it's still a nightmare. It's still hard to follow him. I don't
That's an homage.
That's an homage.
Well done.
Très bien. And a callback as well. My first professional show, Wally at Stitches. I'm talking to Wally because he's on my level. But my first professional show at Stitches was on Lenny Clark's night. And all these Boston guys, Bob, they used to, hang out together and congregate. So whoever was somewhere, you'd do your show wherever, and then all of a sudden you'd come back to Stitches or you'd come back to Nick's. So by the late show, the third show on Lenny's show, my first 2 shows were great. He came out and he's like, this next guy was a soccer player. He was a soccer player. If you don't laugh at him, I'm going to come out there and I'm going to smack the shit out of you. And people be like, oh my God, who is this host? So as the night goes on and there's a third show at Stitches, all these guys start showing up. And they're all doing guest spots and they're drinking in the back. And the green room was tiny, right off the stage. So by the third show, they're all going on doing guesties. And I'm basically coming off the open micer scene. And I'm like, am I next? Am I next? No, you're not next. All of a sudden, Lenny goes up. I figure they're going to just close the show. Lenny brings me up. I'm last. It's about 1 a.m. All these Sweeney went up, Kenny went up, Gavin went up, Tingle went up, and they crushed Lenny. And then they're all in the back partying, and then they all left. And I'm up on stage alone, completely dying. I only had like 7 minutes as it were, and it went to 2, really quickly. I'm like, I used it up.
Right. And
I have to do 20, and I'm up there like improving, and I'm an open micer. I died a miserable death. I sat in that green room. I waited for about a half hour, 40 minutes. I'm like, I can't do this for a living. There's just no way. I shouldn't even get money for tonight. I really shouldn't. I waited till everybody filed out. The one woman felt so bad when she comes in. She hands me my money. I'm like, thank you. Put it in my pocket. I walk outside Commonwealth Avenue. It's about 1:30 in the morning. Head down, just walking down the street, thinking about my future or lack thereof. And all of a sudden, this Volvo comes screeching to a halt at about 70 miles an hour. Car stops, doors open up, smoke comes flying out. It was like an Andy Capp cartoon. And they're like, get in. I'm like, what? It's all of these guys stuffed in a car driving around town. I'm like, they did it to me on purpose to basically test me. I'm like, oh, God. They go, did you give it time? I go, yeah.
Don, where did we get a Volvo? I don't remember anybody driving a Volvo.
Lenny rented it.
Did we steal it?
No, Lenny rented it. You remember he'd come back from LA and he'd rent it.
Yeah.
Lenny had a TV show on ABC and he had some money then. So
yeah, rookie hazing.
Oh yeah.
Well, guys, stories have been great. Boy, only Vic were here to add some stories, good stories about him. Just part of the memories. Wally Collins, good to see you. Continue good things to you. Kenny Rogersons, be well. Don Gavin, you got a lot of shopping to do now. So,
I do, and I have a lot of free time. So.
Exactly. Kevin, good time to, we talked a lot about this show all week, having lost Vic, but I'm glad we did it, and I'm glad you guys were here to talk about him. And we leave you on this edition of the best medicine with some final images and thoughts on Vic Henley. Good night.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
And we're out because they're off to.
Vic Henley, how are you?
I'm good, Bobby. How are you? It's always good to come to this man's island. A lot of people think it's other people's island. It is this man's island. Thanks, everybody. That's all. All right.